Bonjour, hello, welcome to Scotland. My name is Laurence. Welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast about knitting in Scotland. I'm a knitter. I really love colorworks. The more color, the better. And I also really love to knit socks. Some from my own pattern, some socks, a lot of socks, an insane number of socks. I also do other craft than just knitting. I do some weaving, but also some embroidery, and I also been known to try my hands on other things like basket weaving and ceramics. I'm totally at home in a country which has such a strong culture of knitting. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Instagram as Laurence. You can also find me on Ravelry as Laurence, and I've got also a Facebook page called Laurence. I am French, and Laurence means the Scottish girl in French. Yes, I am a Sassenach, which means a foreigner, but on a nice way. The aim of this podcast is to try to explore what are the roots of the Scottish knitting culture. I'm going to travel around the country to meet the people from the wool industry, from the wool producers, the wool dyers, the pattern designers, and to try to understand what inspired the color of the wool, what are the specificity of each breed, why is it embedded in a certain part of the country and not others, really, and having fun on the way. We're going to explore the different patterns, different colorworks, different techniques, and on the way we're going to meet the people who make it. I deeply believe that knitting is a people craft, from the people who taught you to the people you're doing the garment for, and the people which are involved in raising the sheep, getting the wool, processing the wool, dyeing the wool, and making it into the skin for you to work with. So meeting the people who are involved in that craft is one of the main aims of my journeys. Scotland has a very strong wool tradition, from Fair Isle jumpers, Shetland lace, tweed, and the cable jumper from the fishermen. The colours are inspired from the land, but also the different dyes are actually sourced from the land, and the patterns have been inspired by the way of life of the people, but also by the landscape and by the wildlife. So you can come with me on my journeys around Scotland to find out more about the knitting tradition on the local places. The North Ronaldsay sheep is the sheep which is emblematic from the Orkney Islands. It is what is called a primitive sheep breed. It has a short tail and all the colors of the coat are present. It has little hair on the face and the feet. The ram can have a very sturdy curly horns, and the ewe may or may not have horns. What interests us most for wool, the coat has a main characteristic which is made of two layers: an outer coat which is made of guard hair and protect the animals, and an inner coat which is very soft and keep the animal warm. The sheep is on the list of endangered sheep breed in Britain, and it has some interesting characteristics for the meat industry. It has a very nice taste, and it is quite difficult to find some on the island, as I find it myself. because most of it is sent to the local restaurants and has a very deep mutton taste, and it's very, very nice. Contrary to common knowledge, the sheep didn't come with the Vikings. It was on the islands much before, because quite a lot of the bones found in the Neolithic sites scattered all over the Orkneys actually show that the bones of the sheep that were found there were actually almost identical to the one that of the modern North Ronaldsay sheep. The sheep itself has been mainly restricted to North Ronaldsay because on the main island the technique of farming had changed, and they wanted to keep the good grass for the cattle. Saying that, we can still find some North Ronaldsay sheep in the main island, but most of their herd is actually on North Ronaldsay. The main characteristic of the breed is its diet. The North Ronaldsay sheep eat mainly seaweed. The reason for that is when the seaweed industry collapsed on the island before it was sent as fertilizer in mainland Scotland. In the 1820s, the islander built a very large wall around the coastline to keep the sheep on the seashore and not in the good grazing grounds. The diet of the sheep had to evolve, and since they were restricted only to eat seaweed, and their biology changed as well. Since they were eating seaweed, they were eating quite a lot of sea salt, and the biology of their body changed to accept to have quite a level of high urea in their blood to be able to cope with a high level of salt. They also had a high level of iodine coming from the seaweed, and you can find that still in the ewe milk and in the meat of the North Ronaldsay sheep. They also had to cope with a very low level of copper in the seaweed that the sheep needs for their normal growth. They've been able to gather any kind of little trace of coppers that they could get from the diet of seaweed. However, the problem with the sheep is that if they go back to normal grass diet, they accumulate copper that they found at very low level in seaweed in their liver, and they die of copper poisoning. They can overcome that problem and go back to grass eating after a few generations, or if you give them some supplement in their diet. Each year since 2016, there is a festival which is organized on North Ronaldsay to rebuild properly the dike that keeps the sheep on the seashore, and you can join if you really want. It's usually at the beginning of August, and they have several activities you can join as well. So as an eater, what are the characteristics of the wool per se? Well, I really like it because it's actually very soft, and if you can think of a wool which is not as soft as blue-faced Leicester, but not far off, this is the kind of wool you get with the North Ronaldsay sheep. As I mentioned before, you can find all the different kind of coat in the North Ronaldsay sheep, going from the whites up to the black and all the different browns in between. The main place you can get North Ronaldsay wool is from the mill which is on the island itself, which is the yarn for North Ronaldsay, but you can also find some wool from local breeder on the mainland, as the wool shed, for example. And you can also find it in an island called Orkney, which have their own herd of North Ronaldsay sheep, and they also sell online. Sue Blacker in Blacker Yarn also sell her own wool from North Ronaldsay, and it's quite nice. I just bought some. And if you want some colored North Ronaldsay yarn, there's the Little Orkney Dye Shed, and they have an online shop, and we're gonna meet Pam Murray later on in the episode. Most of the yarn you can find is usually DK or Aran weight, but if you want some fingering weight, the only place you can find it is at the North Ronaldsay mini mill itself, or you can find it on northronaldsayarn.co.uk. If you want more information on the breed, there's quite a lot of sources you can get it from, mainly from the North Ronaldsay Trust, and also from a book which is called A North Ronaldsay Yarn by Elizabeth Lovick, and obviously you can also have a look at the North Ronaldsay Trust website if you want to. I'm going to start by my stash acquisition. There's quite a lot of wool that I've been finding here, and this is very, very nice. If you really like wool, this is some kind of a paradise. This cheap everywhere, and wool I got is from the Wool Shed. This is a small business in the north of the island, and my daughter wanted for me to do something for her with that yarn, so I got it for her. And I wanted to grab some of the local breed wool, so that's the North Ronaldsay, and then there was also some I think some wool that she was selling, and I think it was going to be very nice as a contrastic yarn for this one. So that's my stash acquisition for just now. So the main reason why we came to, one of the reasons why we came to Orkney is not only wool, and as much as I love the North Ronaldsay wool, that was not a sufficient argument for my husband and my children to come with me here. It was obviously the archaeological places. It's amazing, the standing stones and all the burial grounds, and from Neolithic times. You're actually overwhelmed with all this. But also recently I purchased the book from Susan Crawford, the Vintage Shetland Knits, I think it's called, and to my surprise there was a very nice project in it that she copied from one she saw, I think, from the Shetland Museum of Textile, and that was made originally by a lady called Helen Tate, which is my husband's family name. And I was thinking, oh, that's a nice things to do, because mainly the reason why we are in Orkney is because my husband was actually tracing his family tree, and he knows that his grandfather was coming from Orkney, and now he's actually be able to trace his family tree very far up. So mainly because once you have a link to the Orkney families, they have a very good library and archive and an ancestral society that actually know quite a lot about all the different marriages and ancestry that come from Orkney. So it was quite easy to trace his family, I think from way back in 1500s or something like this. So that pattern, yeah. So that was it. That was the scarf and then the tam. And I really wanted to have a very challenging color work project, so that was definitely for me. So yes, I've taken all the material I needed with me to Orkney to do it, but I should have actually maybe read the pattern before I left, because first things first is, like, for the scarf is to provisionally cast on of 528 stitches, I think, and I was definitely not up for this on holiday, so maybe I can actually wait for this for a long time. If it's finished for winter, I'll be very happy. Right, the wool I've decided to use for is mainly some wool from Drops Alpaca and some from Eden Cotton Yarn. There you have it. Hello, Victoria. I know this is already, it looks quite loose and draping kind of garments. I'm not sure if alpaca is actually the best yarn to use. I only gonna be finding out the hard way, so I keep you posted on this. But I really like the colors I have, and this is definitely my kind of color, so I'm gonna try to reproduce it. When I first arrived in Orkney, I found a shop in Stromness that was selling some very nice, very colourful North Ronaldsay yarn, and from then on it was on my quest to try to find out where and who was actually dyeing those yarns. I finally found out that a lady called Pam Murray was doing some of beautiful, colourful yarn dyeing just beside Stromness, on the other side of the bay, with a very beautiful view to the Hamnavo and all the islands of Orkney. So I decided to come and go visit Pam Murray at the little Orkney dye shed. So as usual, I always arrive at very inconvenient times when I'm not announced, because I like to take people when they are actually like themselves. So I was very glad to meet a very pleasant lady who was trying to rescue a poor swallow which had been trapped in her house. And the dye shed on the outside is very colorful and very inviting. I was really pleased. So my quest was over and I could actually talk to Pam. As most of the people I found on Orkney, she was very humble. So she has one part which is the dyeing part, and then she's got her wool, the yarn and the skins and some of the bats and some raw fleeces, and I particularly like the curious display of all the seashells in that cupboard.
No, I'm not Orcadian, but looking into the family tree, there are some Orcadian ancestors, way back. It's kind of like a great grandfather or something like that.
So where do you get your wool from? Is that some North Ronaldsay sheep?
I get some from the mill on North Ronaldsay, and I also get some from mainland UK.
Can you get some from mainland UK?
Mm-hmm, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, you have to pay the carriage costs and what have you, yes. But there's there are mills on mainland Britain that do different kinds of.
Or is it from mills? Because they get the fleece is only coming from here, or
yes, yeah. Well, for the ones that I've picked, I mean, you can get other yarns, like merino in, which obviously comes from elsewhere. But I try to pick the British, as much British
as possible.
Yeah, yarn as possible. But or if it does come from elsewhere, then try and make sure that it's what would you say? It's produced, in a way that's I'm trying to think of the word. No, ethically it's not quite that, but
your carbon footprint is quite low.
It's just sort of to taking lots of factors into account, that
yeah.
and hope that it's produced in a reasonably and sustainable way.
Good. Yeah, so I've heard that. So you're doing chemicals dyeing.
Well, I call them synthetic dyes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, because technically natural dyes are chemicals as well. So I just
Yes.
I'm sort of saying, well, it's synthetic dyes or natural dyes.
Yeah, but even for natural dyes, you need to mortar them. And
Yes,
this is,
yes, and I mean it's all chemicals when
yes.
all said and done. So yes, I use synthetic acid dyes for protein fibres, things like wool, angora, mohair.
So you also do angora and mohair?
I mean not particularly. I mean on alpaca I do. It just depends. I mean I can do them, but it just depends what what yarn. And just a composition. But these dyes will do those fibres as well. For plant fibres, it's a different class of dyes.
Yes, so don't take the colour that different.
Well, not with those, but you need the different ones for plant fibres and silk. You can use both types of dyes, and it fits into both. I don't know why precisely, but I know it does.
And the quality you're actually after. So yes, I was trying to get something even on the natural fabric undyed. I was obviously from the same dye lot. I guess they were from the same spinning
mill. Well, if they could. Well, it depends where you get it from. Yeah, but there is a bit of variation even from the mill on North Ronaldsay itself. I mean, it's a small mill.
Yes, but they actually separate the fibers from the
dehair it. Yes.
So they dehair it, so you get a much softer produced. And from what I noticed as well, the black, the dark brown, is much smoother than.
Yes, you can. Yeah, than say the dark grey even. Yeah, dark grey is still quite hairy.
Yeah,
but there are some people argue that the hair should be left in it. That's still because that's the nature of the fleece.
Yes.
Yeah, and there are some people that think that's.
Well, I suppose it depends what kind of purpose
it depends what you want to do. What you want to use it for. Really.
Yes.
And certainly, it does make it much softer, but it also means it tends to want to felt more easily, which might be a good thing or not, depending on what you want to do.
Yes, so mainly you would say that for felting you would rather have both
well, yeah,
kind of hair.
Yeah, there's more character in, I suppose, if it's still dehaired probably from a felting point of view.
Yes,
but it just depends on what you're doing really.
So it was quite a short visit, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. You can find our yarn in Stromnest at the Cairn Storm shop, in Dunby, and also in Kirkwall at the Tweed shop. But the easiest is to find her online. Her site is called littleorkneydyshed.co.uk. So that's it for this episode. It was quite short. I hope you liked it. Just give me a thumb up if you do. Next time it's going to be our last episode about Orkney, and we are up for a treat with a very long interview of Liz Lovick, who is the most famous designers of the Orkney Islands. So that's it for that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe see you next time.